When my first book came out, Guerrilla Publicity, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get myself out there just like I help others to do, for many years. And so in the doing of that, I really learned what was most important and how to do that in simple, easy ways.
You are now tuned into the Misi Muse Unplugged, a pop-up podcast variety show helping consultants along their journey to greatness with your host, management consultant, author and blogger, Christy Lindor.
Hey, my go-getters. Welcome to the Misi Muse Unplugged podcast show. I'm your host, Christy Lindor. Super thrilled to be bringing you episode 47. And today we are actually talking with Jill Lublin. A little bit about Jill. She is an author. She's also, go-getters, a coach, a consultant and coach to consultants on the area of becoming an influencer. So if you are a go-getter, you're thinking about how do you really level up with your credibility? How do you really take your content and your body of knowledge and really create a thought leadership presence out in the marketplace? Jill really helps you do that. And in today's episode, she really helps deep dive into what some of the best tactics on creating and generating publicity for your consulting work or your consulting business. And she really gives a lot of tips that she's seen worked within the industry. And so we're super thrilled to have Jill. So check that out. And go-getters, tune in next week. I do have some announcements that I definitely want to make sure I share with you on kind of next steps and directions with the podcast show. So I will be talking all about that in next week's episode. So stay tuned. With that, let's get started. So Jill, thank you for joining us on the Misi Muse Unplugged today. How are you doing?
I am so good, and it's great to be here with you.
Well, thank you for joining us again. So before we get started with today's interview, Jill, would love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself to the go-getters of the Misi Muse Unplugged.
Oh, thank you. Well, one of the things that I've been very blessed is that I have 4 best-selling books. My latest that are relevant for this is Guerrilla Publicity and The Profit of Kindness. All about using kindness in business, always important, right? And I've been helping entrepreneurs, small business owners, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, for over 20 years, really get more visibility and credibility using publicity as a primary strategy. And I help people get more clients and more prospects by using publicity, mostly through what I call my publicity crash courses, which I teach as live Zoom events where they don't have to travel, or live events. So both ways. And I've been working with people for over 20 years. It's been a lot of fun. I help people get book deals who don't even have a word written, and those who are self-published, I help get foreign rights deals. So I work in a number of different arenas.
Awesome. So it sounds like you are definitely a consultant's secret weapon, I would call. Jill.
Oh, that's a great way to say it. And I am. And I've helped consultants who are starting business or growing their business get more clients and get more credibility. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So you are the real deal, Jill. So I guess before we delve into today's topic, so I know I definitely want to talk to you about becoming an influencer and for go-getters and consultants out there that want to do that. But before we do that, just hearing what your background, it'd be great for you to maybe take a step back and share, how did you get started, with the journey that you've been on?
Oh, well, I actually started in the music business, which is great fun, isn't it? And I started consulting with independent record labels and musicians. And I've always worked with highly creative people. I love that, and I'm good at it, and I love messaging. So that's really how I started in the music business.
Okay. And then how did you decide to write your first book? Maybe share kind of what led you to believe that publicity is the real strategy to grow an influencer brand.
Well, here's the truth. What I know about the power of promotion is it's so important to really get your name visible. And when I started working, think about the music business. It's all about perception and image, right? And so being immersed in that for so long, I just kind of naturally found my talents and skill set. And I love helping people with their message and get down into the who are you? What's the core? Why should people care? You got to answer all those questions. So for me, it was really always about the visibility building that came from that. And I just love that piece. It's always been special for me and amazing for keeping my visibility building out.
So Jill, maybe if you can help us, I would love to hear a story of, something that may have happened in your early parts of your career that really helped you kind of solidify, your core values that you have today.
Sure. My core values versus a client success story is what you're asking for, right?
Yeah, it would be great.
So, one of the things that I am really a believer in is people's message, right? And I've always considered myself a bit of what I would call messenger of messengers. So with that in mind, what I started doing was really delving into the message and what is it? And so one of my values is really serving people. And the best way to serve people is find what's at the core and communicate that well. And that's a skill set of mine. So I'm a big believer in use the best skill set, right? Use the talents God gave you. And for me, it's the ability to translate people's messages. So that's what I really started doing and loving it and connecting and feeling connected as I do that. It's really been a wonderful, what would I call it, journey of really supporting others in who they are out in the world, as well as myself. I mean, I had to go through this, which is what enabled me to do it so well for others. You know what I'm saying? Like when my first book came out, Guerrilla Publicity, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get myself out there just like I help others to do, for many years. And so in the doing of that, I really learned what was most important and how to do that in simple, easy ways.
So what was your most challenging moment through that journey?
I'll tell you, it was when I broke both ankles in multiple places. And my third book was out, Get Noticed, Get Referrals, which is about using referral networking and marketing. And, well, you can imagine with broken ankles, it's pretty hard to do promotion. It's pretty hard to get excited about much. My income went down. It was really difficult to be out in the world in that kind of injured state. I mean, I was in a wheelchair for 6 months. So that led to, as you can imagine, a lot of issues and a lot of major problems. And that was my challenging journey. I really had to get creative. I had to be willing to sit in a wheelchair and deliver speeches, which I know, it was tough, meaning it also made me very sensitive to perception because people talked to me differently. It was really interesting. And I had to learn how to be, well, a good speaker and powerful from a wheelchair. And that was different for me, right? I had to learn how to ask for help because frankly, when you're injured like that, there was not much I could do for myself. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I couldn't make food. I couldn't even get in my bedroom. So you can imagine everything really changed.
Yeah, my goodness. That definitely sounds like a challenging time in your life. Maybe it would be great to just hear, I'm going to pivot in a moment here, but would love to hear the moment that you were able to walk again. Like, how was that moment for you?
Wow. I think it was like, oh my God, now I can help myself again. Because I have to say, asking for help for a person who's used to being a lone ranger a bit, used to doing everything myself, a bit of a superwoman type, I really had to give all that up, meaning I just had to ask for a lot of help. I had to receive a lot of help. It was really wonderful in that way to learn to seek and receive support.
Okay. And one more question before I pivot to the conversation of today. What was the best career advice you've ever received?
Become financially literate. I think that's really important. So become financially literate and get smart about money. Learn how to read a P&L sheet, profit and loss. Know what's coming in and going out. Know what your expenses are. At least that. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I definitely would agree about that.
Now available on Amazon. Management consultant and author Christy Lindor shares career secrets based on 15 years of experience working at top firms in a new book called The Me-See Muse. 100 plus selected practices, unwritten rules, and habits of great consultants. The Me-See Muse provides insights, stories, and strategies on the unwritten rules of the consulting profession. Christy conducted research and connected with 50 plus industry titans across 27 professional service organizations on what makes a great consultant. For book reviews, tour dates, and more info, go to www.meeseemuse.us.
I want to pivot and talk a little bit about becoming an influencer. And I know that's an area that you are well versed in, Jill. So, it seems like, at least from where I sit, Jill, it seems like a lot of people are really focused on becoming an influencer, whether it's on social media or in other mediums. But I don't see a lot of focus or kind of appreciation for becoming a subject matter expert in a particular content area. So I would love to hear your perspectives on what's more important. Is it really kind of focusing on building the influence, or should it be really on the subject matter, or a combination of the two? Would love to hear your perspective on that.
I think it's a mixture, okay? Sometimes you're a subject matter expert. Sometimes you're fitting into the news because of something that's happening in the news. Sometimes, like my client from Haiti, here's a great example. She is a nurse turned helping women now transition from their jobs, right? And she wrote a self-published book on top of that about that. Well, guess what? Here's the cool thing, or not so cool thing, but when President Trump said not very nice things about the country of Haiti and Africa, I called her up and I said, my darling, this is your moment. And through specific wording and coaching, she got on National Public Radio, and people loved connecting to her to ABC and NBC and CBS radio and TV networks just because she's Haitian. And we came up with a wonderful segment that talked about being a Haitian immigrant and successful American. And that was the story that was interesting. Okay. Not the fact of all the other things that she does do that's fabulous and brilliant. So I just want to put that up there, that you got to be watching and listening to the news and see where you fit in. And by the way, that wasn't political. We just said two things that were a great soundbite. Haitian immigrant, successful American. That was powerful.
Okay. And so if someone's, a new consultant out there, they're just getting started, they haven't really built up the expertise, what would be your recommendation, Jill? Like, should they focus on building the expertise and then the influence element, or any thoughts on that, especially for someone that's just kind of getting started in their career?
So that's a great question. I work a lot with people just getting started. I think it's really a beautiful thing wherever you're at in your business. The point is to take that first step. And what the first step really is clearly defining your message so that people know who you are, and as I like to say, why they should care. And when you have the right thing to say in the right order, so to speak, it makes a huge difference for how people hear and see you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you got to start with the message.
Okay. And what would you say are some common mistakes that you see, individuals just getting started in creating an influencer profile? What are some common mistakes you see they make, either in messaging or in other elements?
The messaging, the problem is that they talk too much about what I call I language, and they don't do enough you language. So when you're messaging, see, I just did it right there. When you're messaging, right? I want you to think about what's the problem out there, and then, what solution are you providing? And that's a great way to do it.
Okay. And would you say, Jill, that should people focus on trying to be an influencer in a broad space, or should they look to really create a niche, if they're just getting started in this?
I would tell you, I tend to like narrower first. I tend to like that better just because it makes it a little bit easier. So go narrow first. If for some reason you're not getting any response, or, it's just not landing for whatever reason, then I would say then get larger. And that's, the next piece.
And how do you measure success as an influencer?
Well, first of all, are you getting clients? That's really important, right? And I think around what's really focused is that you have a right message, and then guess what happens? You get more and more influencers. You tend to attract more people. You got to give value and benefit. That's a way to get influencers. It's okay to make offers every once in a while through your social media or different places, but it's really important to give people great value and benefit, is how I like to say it.
Okay.
Ongoingly and constantly.
And would you say, Jill, with social media, is that a metric? I know that's the most visible that people see. So, if someone has, a certain number of likes on their content, or if they have a number of followers on the different platforms, is that like a true metric of success for an influencer?
I think there's many metrics of success. So there's multiple ways to measure it. Some is what I like to call the I've heard of you somewhere syndrome, right? And I think what's really important is that it's not always about, what you think it's about, that you be willing to be flexible. And even with metrics of success, sometimes my clients don't have huge social media followings, but they're very successful. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really a key.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to pivot again, Jill. Would love for you to tell us a little bit about your crash course. You mentioned the publicity crash course and then the book Guerrilla Publicity. If you could maybe tell us a little bit about those two, that'd be awesome.
You got it. So guerrilla publicity is all about getting your word out and creating visibility. And if you go to jilllublin.com, you can order it. It'll take you through all your favorite places to Amazon. But go to jilllublin.com. You can see lots there, lots of L's in there, by the way. I don't know if you can put that in the chat box or something, let people know how to spell it, or we can spell it right now.
Yeah, we'll include all the links in the show notes for this episode. I hook my go-getters up.
Oh, that is so cool. And then as far as the publicity course, I do a really powerful live publicity course. And when I say live, you can take it on Zoom with me so you don't have to travel anywhere, or you can take it as a live event. You can join me in this fabulous city. I go to San Diego, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Florida, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, all kinds of fabulous places, and come join me there live, which is great. And this is a no-nonsense, get-it-done publicity, fabulous, roll up our sleeves, everything you need for your publicity. And you actually leave the course, whether you take it on live Zoom or the live event, with 4 documents done and ways to understand how to get the media to say yes. And what I'd love to do for your listeners is if you go to publicitycrashcourse.com, you can read all about it. When you check out so you go publicitycrashcourse.com/registration, if you put in the code publicity, you're going to get $600 off. And that would be a good thing. Most importantly, you get your publicity going much simpler, much faster, and without you having to figure out. I'll walk you through the whole thing in an intimate course, meaning not so many people so that there's attention all on you.
Awesome. And go-getters, again, we'll make sure to put all the links in the show notes. So Jill, I really appreciate your time today. Any last thoughts that you'd like to share with our go-getters, if they're interested in becoming an influencer and getting started in their career? Any last thoughts to share?
Just most importantly, that what I want to leave them with is your message matters. Your message matters.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill, for being on today's show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. And thank you, my go-getters, for tuning in today. This is Christy Lindor signing out with the Misi Muse Unplugged pop-up podcast. Here's to your journey to greatness.
Tune in every Friday for new episodes syndicated on iTunes, Google Play Music, and many more. Visit www.misimuse.com for more information.